on the beat, on the beat, beat, on the beat, confident, hop on the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Office Hours. I am your host, Sticks Intern. This is my office, and that's why we're here for Office Hours. And today is a special episode because today we're bringing a little bit of heat and spice, not the ALP type of spice. All right, this is not the adobo. That's not what this is. This is hot takes of perhaps mean level to some, but maybe deserved. And we'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to introduce our guest. His name is Ultra Gringo. You can find him on Twitter, and he made a big splash in the DFK community when he started gobbling up every mythic odd pool that was on the pet market. And excited to have him on here today because he has some strong opinions. And I always say if you want a soapbox, that's what Office Hours is for. Today, being Ultra Green, we're going to jump on that soapbox together and have some fun.
You're right. Thanks for having me, Sticks. I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. So, what are we here to talk about today, Ultra?
Oh, the next crypto gem. My goodness. Finally got to see that last episode, and it was a banger.
It was a banger. That's right. The next crypto gem, ladies and gentlemen. We were all very excited for it. And you know what? I don't think we were wrong to be. I think it is a very exciting fact that DFK is on this show. But that said, as avid watchers of the show, as probably some of the few people who have actually watched every episode, maybe we could offer some constructive criticism that will somehow reach the ears of those who matter. But because I know I had some thoughts as the game show went on, and I know you did too. So just for context, Chad, this guy Ultra Gringo, he reaches out to me a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey man, I have some thoughts about this show. Would you be willing to talk about it with me?" And I was like, "Dude, I think we're on the same page, and I think there's some things that need to be aired."
Yeah, that we haven't heard from anybody saying or speaking up. So
yeah,
kind of need to address some things.
Wait, I didn't catch that. Sorry.
We just need to address some things that we heard from the other communities. So
yes. I thought you said regret, and I was like, wait, what? Am I going to regret this?
There's a little bit of that in there too, but we'll get to that later. So
yeah, maybe. So I guess I want to lead in with a hard-hitting question first. I want to lead in with something that's actually going to be difficult to answer. So hard question. Chad, you ready? Name one thing that you liked about the next crypto gem.
Ooh,
spicy.
That is a hard one. I have thought about this a lot for the past couple coming days, and my answers changed a couple of times. And I thought it was that good. It was very good to see DFK on there and everything, but the way that they kind of presented the shows allowed the teams to present themselves. I feel like that was lacking in a way. I will say that my answer is going to go seeing Dreamer on the show. Not to toot the DFK horn just because I'm a DFK community member, but the fact that Dreamer went up and presented himself and the community very well in a professional manner, and also getting to hear a bit of his background too, made me feel a little bit more bullish on our project altogether. One thing I felt it was lacking a lot was that the show kind of asked a lot of questions based on just who the people were and not as much on what is your project about. Like, show us your project, tell us about it, explain it, go into in depth. We didn't really get to see very much of that. So it was very difficult for me to find an answer to this question of yours. And I'll have to just put it on Dreamer being there and just representing us in a fantastic way as best he could. So, all
right, I think that's a really solid answer. And since you took the only good answer, I'm on the fly here. I'm working. I'm gonna answer my own question and say that I do think it did a good job in some parts of trying to capture the element that these are real humans, and that does kind of get to what the point you were making, that like they did focus a lot on the background. And I know that one of the goals when Grady had Jet on talking about this show, and when the guys were on Mythic Squad after the first episode aired, or on with, I don't know if it was Mythic Squad, but there was that stream when the first episode aired, and it like the goal was to humanize crypto, right? And so there was a lot of that humanizing element, but it didn't have the effect of humanizing crypto, I think, because it wasn't that follow through of tying it to like these people's projects, like what they're actually building. You heard we got the fluff about what they were building, like basically like the highest level clips. And then we got a lot of their backstory. So like in the last couple episodes, especially, they go like half of the last episode is devoted to background stories for the three men that are representing the two final teams, the one guy from Vulcan Forge and the two guys from Wagner. And it's like, this is a game show. And so one thing that is going to be a recurring theme throughout this episode, chat, and if you're watching later on YouTube, recurring theme throughout this episode is comparisons to the Great British Baking Show, which in my opinion, that is top tier game show production. They, in the span of 45 minutes, show you 3 cake making contests where they judge 8 to like up to 10 people's cakes in that amount of time. And sure, in the episode 1, when they're doing the middle thing, they skip through all the like 6 through 4, and they only show you the ends, the worst and the best. But like you get to see that every single cake all the same. And you know, one of my biggest gripes with this game show is that it didn't show the contest. Great British Baking Show, I watch it and I'm like, they get background in there. Sure, it's a 45-minute thing, but that's why I bring up the 3 games. There are 3 games each episode. So like, you're getting 3 times the content, 2 times the time. I think, you know, there's still lessons we can learn, and you can still get that backstory in. That's got to be like your B-roll though, and your primary focus has to be the games. And I think that's what we were really missing in the contests themselves, and then tying it, like as you said, back to the projects.
You know, my take on it was, I was really thinking that this game show was going to be a little bit based off of Shark Tank. Having judges up there, projects coming up to you and representing themselves, and judges determining if they even want to invest in your project or not. Having 16 teams to start out with on the very first episode, only for them to drop down to 4 teams on the first episode. And there's so much content that was lost, I feel. They could have covered a lot more projects and stuff. Even when they were going through the interviews on the first episode of all the projects, you know, they were kind of asking the people again, kind of who they were. And they did the people would bring up a little bit of their project and whatnot. But whenever they turned the media or would put videos for that project on, it really felt like they were not tutorial videos, but like demo videos of the project. And they didn't, the people didn't have time to go in depth as to what their project is or does, or showcase it to them. So,
right. Or maybe they did, and that just didn't make the cuts. Right.
Yeah.
So part of this is like, I do think there's an aspect where it's like, maybe they did get all that stuff and it comes down to the editing. So like, I don't know on that side, but I agree. That should have been shown. Right.
Right. Yeah. I feel like a lot was cut out of the show, because one thing I realized, and it bugged the hell out of me, is that they cut so many people off mid-sentence. Like they would just switch and go to another scene right when somebody's talking. I'm like, I would have loved to have heard what they were going to finish off saying or something. That was, you know, a couple of times and stuff in an episode, okay, but it was almost throughout the entire series of all the episodes they did that, and just kind of splicing things together. Videos were only 25 minutes long, so if you put in the context of all of the disclaimers, the commercial video of Squid Grow, transition screens and everything, we may have gotten maybe 17 minutes of full content. And
I think that's overestimating it, actually, because there was also a lot of fucking fluff every episode. So there's one thing I noticed, like right away, not in the first episode, right? Because that one, they were pretty tightened up with all of the teams. And, you know, it's funny that you mentioned there were 16 teams. You know, while we're on that point, I totally forgot about that. Who were those other 12 teams?
Right.
What was that first episode? Like, maybe it would have been better to just do 4 from the beginning, cut out that like the audition part. But maybe we wanted a little American. It was like they're combining too many game shows into one. They got America's Got Talent, you know, or whatever it was, the one with the where they go around and have those intro audition videos.
Right. Yeah.
Well, then like, the game though, I was like, it was like very short. They had like the dude telling them how to be entertaining on camera, and that got more airtime than the contest on a
Right.
game show.
So, and another thing too, they had them do 2-minute videos. The first challenge was that the teams had to make 2-minute videos and stuff, and they had to be creative about it and everything like that. They dropped the ball when they took all those videos, and instead of showing us 2 minutes each of every project, they spliced it up. So you got 30 seconds of this video, and then they went to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and then they went back to the first one, and you got 30 seconds, and it was like, how do I follow along with that person's video when I just watched 4 2-minute videos all together spliced? It was nonsense.
Yes. It was just nonsense. Like here's a concrete example. In the first episode or the second episode, right? That's the one where they have to give that presentation to the normies and explain some topic. They had 2 minutes for each presentation. So all right, 4 teams, 2 minutes. Doing some quick math. Not good at math, everyone. Dude, this is not math financial advice, right? 2 times 4 is 8. 24 minus 8 leaves you 16 minutes. You could show every second of each of those contests, I think, at least their presentation, without any of the Q&A.
Yeah.
And have 2/3 of your episode left for everything else. Yeah. Like, why was I getting half a sentence and then another team and then another team and then back to the first team so I don't, as a viewer, know actually what they're talking about ever, because I have no context for the sentence they're saying. It's like news clip highlight reel. Right. And so it's impossible for me to evaluate whether I disagree with the judges, which is like, that's half the fun of watching a game show. They fucked it up. They got it wrong. That team should have won. I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't see the contest.
So, and I'll say this, after I've been rewatching the videos and stuff, you see the disclaimer on the beginning of every video, and I'm going to reread it. It says, "Attention viewers, we want to make it crystal clear that the next crypto gem is purely for entertainment purposes. No offer is being made to or soliciting from the viewing audience." And, you know, the second part of that is kind of talking about us, people watching and everything. But the first part, where they want to be crystal clear that it's for entertainment purposes only, I feel like they tried to make it too funny in a bunch of different areas within the show. And so a lot of it was cringeworthy. Like they even mentioned on the show at the very end, it was, they got away from the game aspect of the whole show. So. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I can remember Shib Toshi better than any of the contestants, right? That's that squid growth that you're talking about. Like, God damn. I was about to correct you on the dude's name before I realized you were joking earlier. It's like,
But I'll say this, they even dropped the ball on him too, because I kept watching it and I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. I don't know what his project is. I had to look him up on the web.
So I do think, though, that, you know, since that was an ad, that did have the intended effect on you. That was the goal, is to get you to Google search it. There's enough mystery that fine, I'll look it up. Fuck you guys.
Right, but on a show that I was hoping to see other projects, even though I had to look them up, I will never use their stuff, because how it made me feel during the show. Like, because they provide him a better quality video than they even did their own contestants.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that phrasing. Better quality video than they did their own contestants. And I will say, like, the quality of the video was good. They clearly had good cameras and good microphones. So like when one thing I was thinking, like, after a couple episodes, was like, gosh, I remember George. I watched his like little walking video from his YouTube where he was like, man, it was professional quality. It was crazy being out there as a YouTuber, because everything was just so much. You know, you're in this real professional filmmaking setting. And I'm like, how could that, there's a disconnect here. And I'm thinking maybe based on that and some of the other things we've heard, as Dags mentioned in the chat, maybe I do think a lot of it maybe came down to editing decisions that were outside of the people who were telling us about the project, outside of their control. But like, God, it just sucks to see that, because, you know, they had good content there. Like, dude, every time Dreamer opened his mouth, he was spitting fire. Dropping blockchain knowledge. Like he was the only one who was able to answer the question correctly to get a bonus for that one game where it mattered, and none of the other guys knew shit about blockchain. I'm sorry. Mad respect to all teams. For the record, every statement that Ultra and I make is scripted. This is a work of fiction, and nothing in here is intended to reflect either of our opinions or the opinion of Mythic Squad.
Right.
And now that disclaimer's done, but yeah, dude, like, more of that, more of the teams. And I think Kupo, I also saw him but would have liked to see more about their project, some of their contests. What did you think about the contests?
They had nothing to do with the teams. They had nothing to do with their own projects. And it was like, the show kind of wanted to come out and be informative of crypto for audiences who didn't know anything about crypto. My wife sat with me and she watched pretty much all the episodes with me, and we still walked away very confused. Even me being in part of crypto community kind of thing. It was very confusing for her, especially somebody who's not even into crypto. So it's like what they were wanting to try to bring to the show with being informative and showing people what crypto is. I think they dropped the ball on that because they went into trying to convince people that were at events or a cocktail party, or having to draw on a whiteboard to present a blockchain idea, and they put it off on the teams to inform the audience instead of that being on the show and doing informative text and stuff. Or
they could have made a lot better use of informative text. I think that's a really good pickup. And I like how you said it there. They put it on the teams to inform the viewers, but they did, like, what they should have done was give the viewer the information necessary to evaluate the team's performance, right? And really, this segues well into a really strong critique I had of episode 2. I actually like that contest for what it was. Like, look, let's have these people explain these concepts to these randos, and then see who can make the randos understand. And the problem I had with it is they should have had like a boom, like what each of those things was for the viewer, and then show like boom, and then here's the person trying to explain it. Wow, they're way off the mark. Oh my gosh, these guys are talking about NFTs when their assignment was this other thing. And the thing that really got my goat, though, is that the judges were like, we thought these two teams actually talked about, the topic that they were assigned, and the other two teams didn't. But the other two teams, they got the votes of all the viewers. So one of those two teams that got the votes from all the random people should be the winner. Now, let's just broaden this out. If the goal of the show is to show what crypto is and show that it is not just a bunch of, people who are selling you snake oil, then why are we crowning as victors the people who didn't explain the topic well, but did it very persuasively? That is like that should be the absolute bottom of the barrel right there. Right. And the people who did explain it well should be the ones who won that one, right? And that one blew my mind. I'm like, that one is just, you did it wrong, guys. You did it so wrong.
Gosh.
Did you have any moments like that where something was just so jarring that you get this weird feeling about it?
Yeah, at the very end, the last episode, it just put everything kind of into perspective for me when the whales kind of got to sit down and hear the last two contestants and stuff. Nothing against any of the projects out there and stuff, this is really more of critique and hoping that, maybe the show looks at this and maybe changes a few things for next season. But when the whales kind of, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but when he kind of threw WAGMI under the bus and basically told them that he doesn't know why they're on the show on live TV, basically, that was a big game changer for me, thinking of the show, because I'm like, what is it that the whales are seeing behind the scenes that we weren't shown as the audience, with so much being kind of cut out? Like,
so there's that, right? That I think that's a really good takeaway, because it's like, what else? What made him want to say that? Because it certainly wasn't anything that I saw on the screen.
And he was pretty quiet when it came to Vulcan. He was when Vulcan was up there, he was very quiet. He didn't really say much. The other two, Ben, and I can't remember the other gentleman either. But
it was the poker player, right? That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. So when it came to Vulcan, he didn't really have much to say. But when WAGMI came up, they kind of had an awkward interaction with the judges, and they kind of all butted heads for a moment. And he just went off on them at the very end. And I was like, but what threw me another wrench was that at the very end, he threw him under the bus. But he also said that Vulcan was the clear winner, but his money's still going to WAGMI.
And why? Why did you say that he was going to do that?
Like, and the fact, and then it takes me back to the show, and I'm like, you know, if you are a crypto gem show and you're wanting to put these projects up and people to come on your program, for you to air being thrown into the bus like that, it kind of hinders me as a project, if I had one, to want to even go on your thing in fear that, you know, somebody's going to look at my project as being bad or something like that, and on air you're going to diss me in my project. That's a big kicker for future contestants who want to jump in on the show.
Yeah, and then you know, that is a big kicker. That would be like, especially because they lose on the last episode too. So it's just like, I'm sure they had other. You know, it's very clear they filmed a lot more than just 24 minutes each day. Yeah. I'm sure they could have had, you know, like any of the other comments, but what really got me was about the part you were just mentioning with the guy who invested into WAGMI but not Vulcan. It's like they asked him the reason, and his response was, "Well, it's going to pump. It's going to pump."
Right?
It's like, oh, that is really rehabilitating crypto's image in the mainstream media, guys.
Right.
That is the shit right there. And then wait, let's show the part where Ben Armstrong says, "Oh yeah, I heard you guys were talking shit about me last night." Well, yeah, you're a known scammer, dude. And then fuck you. And it's like, why is that one making the choice? Why is that making the cut?
Right. And I'm like, I feel like to me, it was so professional for the first episode and the first two episodes. It kind of got off hinged in the middle, and then at the end, it was like completely different show than what we started with. It felt like they weren't too concerned about what they showed at the end, and they were more concerned about maybe getting views. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, getting views is important, right? There should be some dramatic element to it, but like, I make fun of people all day, every day, and people love me for it on Twitter, right? And so there's a way to do it well, where it's doesn't feel hostile or degrading. It's like
you got to play off it well.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like maybe those, you know, part of me wonders. I just had this thought: maybe those were like the only real negative clips they could show about WAGMI was those two clips, and so that's why they put them in there, because they lost.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I will say this: the second to last episode, when they were 3 teams down, and they were going to choose the winner, I was so confused because all of a sudden, WAGMI and Vulcan step up, and I'm like, okay, in a normal show or something, 2 contestants step up, one's going home and the other one's going to win, but instead they stepped up, and both of them basically won to go to the next go into the next episode. But when Vulcan won, they turned around and sent the last team home, which I can't remember their name. I apologize. It was just that little portion was kind of odd with how they did it. Me and my wife were sitting there, and we both kind of got taken back. I may not have heard of how they were kind of doing it when they brought the teams up, but that was a little bit of a odd thing for me to have seen. I will say this too. Oh, go ahead.
No, you keep going. Sorry.
So I have my own opinions about Leia. I personally do not understand how she got on that show.
Okay, wait. I'm going to pause you there for one moment. All right.
Okay.
Everyone, this is a work of fiction. I'm going to play a clip now, just like to let you know that none of what we're saying is on behalf of Mythic Squad, even though both Ultra and I are members of Mythic Squad. But before we get into this super spicy take about one of the hosts. Oh, what was that? That was a Mythic Squad intro for a second there. No, I'm not going to play it. But anyway, yes. So I want to hear your take on Leia, because I have some opinions, and they're not all bad, but they're not all good either.
Right. For me, at the very beginning of the show, I rewatched the first episode again today. She brought up that she is very concerned that the crypto market in the past 2 years has gotten a lot of rugs, in a sense, in the market. You know, we had a bunch of projects come in, pull money from people, scams, whatever, and so she's looking to kind of create some honesty for crypto. At the very end of the show, when they were choosing the contestants and stuff, she brought up the fact that Vulcan was too honest, or I was like,
Well, that's exactly what she said. Or maybe that was, yeah, I think it was what she said. And it's just like, what?
right, you're contradicting your own self. And it
This
was
is really going to show that the people who are big names in the crypto community are honest and respectable people when they're on a show saying this dude might want to lose because he's too honest. I don't know.
right.
He might not be investable in crypto because he's honest. That's good. That's good marketing.
Right. And that's what you were looking for at the very beginning of the show, but I guess things have changed.
Yeah.
So
It just gets me. That one got me too. Like that one was like, what? All right. So what can you tell me about the games that Vulcan Forged and Wagner Games are making from the show? Like, do you play either of them? I don't play either of them. So
I don't know.
yeah. Okay. So like, what'd you learn about them?
To be honest, my takeaway was, are these platforms that allow multiple different kinds of games to be on, or do they just focus on one kind of game? Like DeFi Kingdoms is just one project, one game in general, or are you creating a platform that has a bunch of different ones? Because Vulcan, I saw a bunch of different screens, layouts, artwork and stuff for different kinds of games. And it was hard to kind of put a pin into what you are, what you do exactly, without me having to go online and look it up myself.
Oh, right. Yeah. And so, like, once again, we're not saying that he necessarily never gave the production crew everything they needed to put that info in there, but the TV show did not teach us anything. Like, Vulcan is a kind of gamepad launcher, right? A game launcher, excuse me, that you can tap into all these various Web3 games from, and you can pay with a credit card. You don't ever need to touch a crypto wallet. And it's like, it was amazing to me how much time the winner spent showing that, like, hey, you don't really need the crypto aspects of this. And I'm like,
You lost the point.
and then Wagme, yeah, I think Wagme, I know it's robotic. It involves robots. That's all I got from the show. It involves robots.
Yeah, Wagme was. I know more about Vulcan a little bit than I do Wagme. Wagme was a bit more of a odd thing for me. I will say though, what was the other third contestant? Suka. I learned at the very end, and I was a little disappointed. And nothing against the guys; they did a great job being on the show and everything. But everybody else seemed to be on team, on staff for that project. Whereas Suka, they sent community members to the show.
Yeah, so I do. I caught that actually in the first episode. But yeah, when they brought him in for the intro, they did mention that they were just community members who were like voted for, and it did strike me as very weird at first, but the more I think about it, and the more I've like learned about it on Twitter, it is literally just like a meme coin. So I don't know how much of a team there is. Like, is it just like some people from the community who the other people from the community are like following around with? And so maybe it was just like difficult to explain kind of what their relationship was to it, because it does seem to me that like they're both leaders. I listened to that Space that Dreamer was on the other day, and Phil, the person who I have previously described as a living caricature, he was a great Spaces host for the most part. Could have done a little bit more audience engagement, but I digress. And like, he was good. He was like clearly leading, clearly like they had plans of these things that they were doing for the community. So like he was a leader in the community. It's just building, like, one thing they could have taken that opportunity to highlight how building in Web3 does involve the community. Like, you have people like just, if you apply it to DFK, you had Fight Club, you have Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms doing all that they're doing. You have Mythic Squad with like its entire content creation platform centered around this game that is going to like expand and become Conquest, for the record. Quick ad there. And like all of these, like, you could have tied that in with the fact that this wasn't members of the team from Suga. These are people who are coming in and building a project on top of this token technology that just exists to align community incentives in some way. And instead it just came off as, oh yeah, this project didn't even care enough to send anyone from their team.
Right. And that's kind of how it played off. But now you say that, I do like that aspect now that you brought that point up. And I will say that it does shine a good light on crypto, and they dropped the ball on being able to bring that to the table, because the community really does rally around good projects like DeFi Kingdoms with the content creators, or Suka with their community members wanting to step up and take the time out of their daily lives to go and spend somewhere else outside of their working lives and stuff at home, to go do a show for you, for a project and everything. You don't get that in other spaces. So with crypto, you have a strong knit community that is willing to go above and beyond for a project that you can't see with any other company. Yes,
no, that's such good phrasing. I love it. Yes, exactly. And they could have showed so much of that, and they didn't. Oh.
So many balls dropped on the show.
Just yeah. Oh man, what phrasing? That's better than dropping pen.
Community will love that.
Oh man. So any topics you want to highlight at the moment? I mean, I could keep going. I know we have our backstage questions. I just want to give you a chance. Any particular things you wanted to get into? We are at the halfway mark of the office hour.
We've been covering pretty much all of it, and pretty fast, I'll say.
I know, it blows my mind sometimes when you're like covering informational stuff like this, how fast you burn through it, when it's like, I spent so much time thinking of these fucking questions.
Right.
That was a good minute.
Right. But all disses and everything aside, from our own individual opinions, I was happy to see all the different projects that we could see out there, because it also gave me insight into being able to look into different projects. So in that regard of the show, I do look forward to additional seasons. This season seems to have dropped the ball, but it is their first season, so I give them that benefit of the doubt.
The first couple of seasons of Great British Baking Show weren't amazing either. You had to really get in there. Paul Hollywood had to hit his flow, and then it's good. So like, maybe we'll get there. And a couple of people have said it in the chat. It does sound like there was some kind of like creative misunderstanding between the production company and the actual like producers. And so, or not producers. I mean, I don't know what the words are in film. I do not work on those contracts. I could call a friend who does, but I don't do that. And what do you want to see from next season, I guess, is kind of what I was trying to get at long-windedly.
Right. Well, in turn, bringing up an example of one of my favorite shows, and maybe some of you as well watching, but The Office. If you ever have the chance to watch The Office and you haven't watched it yet, skip the first season. It sucks. Very bad. You want to watch The Office, you start with season 2. That's just how it is. You want to go and watch the first and you understand. So I'm hoping that maybe next Crypto Gem is the same way. Their next season could be a banger. They'll rework some things. At least they got their name out there and whatnot. They're on live TV. Next season, I'm hoping that we see something different. I really do. So I was wanting to do this hot take with you about next Crypto Gem. In the small hopes that maybe the production team kind of looks back and reviews what the community thinks and says about it. There's been everybody who's gone out and praised the show and done and said so much good things about it and whatnot. But I also feel like there's that space for some of the bad things that went on with the show too. All for critiquing what's coming next. So.
Yes. I think, yeah, I agree with you. Just seeing what they come back with, and that is, you do bring up a really good point there. I can't think of a show that I've recommended to people recently, except maybe Foundation, where it was like, no, where I didn't say skip the first season, and like, let's let Foundation get a couple seasons in, and I'll probably be saying that it only has 2. So it's the fact that it was 24 minutes, I really think that's a big issue. For a game show like that.
Way too short.
Yeah. Like, you can do The Floor is Lava in 24 minutes with 3 teams doing the obstacle course, but you can't do these kinds of contests. Oh, and yeah, the contest that triggered my memory to like what I wanted to talk about. And I lost my train earlier. Like, would you have preferred to see like more contests that were like related to actual, like, I don't know, I felt like it would actually be kind of not just talking about crypto, but actually showing off how crypto works or how it's built or something. And for the record, I'm having a hard time verbalizing this because I've thought about it for a lot and I don't have any good ideas on how they could have actually done better. So that is one thing I will concede. Like, I don't want to watch a contest of some dude sitting around a fucking LAN party just typing. Like, that sounds like really bad television. So, but yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts on that little soliloquy there?
Yeah. When it came to the challenges, I feel as though I saw two almost similar, identical challenges where they had to explain themselves to a group of people. One was the cocktail party, where they kind of hid in influencers, and they had certain armbands and all of that. So that was a little bit of a twist, but it also, to me, mimicked where they had people sitting on couches in front of a whiteboard. Kind of the same concept, but now it's just mobile, where people are able to walk around, have some drinks and stuff.
And you also don't, and like half of the audience's votes don't matter. Right.
And it's like, why did we watch all that? Why did you put everybody through it when you're gonna just make the decision anyways on your own? Yeah. But I kind of going back to your main question. I think that they could have gone a better route with maybe seeing how the projects could have shown how it is that you own your own asset. You know, what is it that your project brings to the table when it comes to NFTs? You know, is your project more accessible to other projects as well, to where it's collaboration with different teams, different projects, different artwork and stuff? I feel like they kind of could have done a bit better when it comes to showing each project's ability in the market, and what they could have brought to the table. Whereas they kind of just put all the challenges off on explain what blockchain is, explain what crypto is, kind of explain the generalization of it all, instead of how could these teams kind of compete against each other with their existing projects. And it's not like we had much diversity when it came to the projects. All 4 contestants that were chosen were all games. But if you go back to the first episode and you watch, they were projects that came on, and I can't remember, my memory's bad, but there was one project where a lady was looking to provide virtual reality classes. So like, let's say kids go into a classroom and stuff, they sit down, put on a virtual headset, and the kids are able to learn inside of a Hogwarts classroom. Different things like that. Having some diversity in the projects to kind of compete would have been great. But the fact that they kind of just all went with just games, it was a shortfall for me. I was hoping to have seen more diversity when my previous assumptions of the show were going to be more of a Shark Tank, and you got to see and experience what the next crypto gem was. But yeah, so
right. Yeah, no, actually, you just reminded me something. Actually, I forgot I had this clip saved. So I'm gonna share screen here. I hope it's in the video app, so I hope it does audio. Select window, screen, media player. Yeah, allow that. All right. I hope everyone hears this.
Oh no.
No audio?
No audio.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, the media player doesn't give me audio, but he's saying Minecraft looks like Child's Play, and it's like, that was the whole show. I clicked the wrong button. But yeah, all the games, it was like that was all the games. They're just high level descriptions, lots of buzzwords.
Right.
What about that guy who said he coded everything by hand? I think that was another meme token though.
He codes everything by hand, written down on paper, and then translated to Microsoft Word because it does spell check.
Right. Yeah. That's the most memorable part of the show, in my opinion. So the episode with the crypto haters, did any of their opinions strike you as like, I don't know, just like this person is beyond hope of ever loving crypto or being interested in it.
Jog my memory of that episode one more time.
So that was the one with the whiteboard. You know, I'm gonna try a different one. This is gonna be a smaller video, but it's in Discord, so it's like web based. So I can make sure I can get audio when I do that. Let's
do it.
Discord. Allow. Wait, no. Stop sharing. I did it wrong. People. I know I did it wrong. This is the thing about StreamYard. If you share window, it doesn't
grab audio.
Yeah, it doesn't grab audio. But I'm just now realizing I'm on because I'm on my laptop. I actually don't know if this will work. But like this lady,
Wait, no audio.
Oh man, yeah. I hate Firefox.
If I had the script, I'd voice over, but I don't.
Not me. It's just it's like the guy who ran a crypto fraud for 26 years is one of the things she talks about. And crypto has existed. Not to make fun of her. She said this was actually really well executed. This one part of that episode was like just showing how little they knew. Is crypto hasn't existed for 26 years, and she thinks a fraud. A guy was running a fraud for that long. She's talking about SBF. But yeah, so I actually thought that episode was solid, right? Or that part of it at least, because it showed like these people are not fans of crypto who are doing the judging, and
right.
And it was humorous. It was funny. I do think they did a good job sometimes with the humor. Now that said, would I have loved to see more clips of the people like her, or more about the games, more about or the contestants? Yes, I would have liked to see more of the contestants.
Yeah. But I do, now that you bring it up, I do remember some of the contestants and stuff, and I appreciated that there were different viewpoints on, and that the teams didn't have just people that were into crypto, but people who they had to really work to kind of win over, in a sense. I like that part of the challenges and stuff, but then again, it just fell short for me because of the disconnect between what the challenge was, and we never really got around to the teams getting to show their project. Yeah, that was the biggest pitfall. Like, we just went through the entire show of basically just these people in space, in your crypto space kind of thing.
No, yeah, that's a good way of doing it. It was like the show was about the players, right? The people. Yeah. Like we learned a little bit about Dreamer. We learned a lot about the people who made it to the finals because they got those like family videos. Like that one guy had cancer. That's amazing that he conquered that, and he's just like out here just building and living on the edge of technology. I love that.
Right.
But on that point though, since it was all about the people, can we just talk about a little procedural unfairness with the show? 2 of the teams had 2 people, and 2 of them had 1 person. Now, arguably, it was perfectly balanced because the average rank of the teams is the same.
True. I'll give you that.
Right? So arguably perfectly balanced, but it felt like, especially that networking one, that it was pretty obvious. It was like the DeFi Kingdoms and the Vulcan Forge did worse than the other 2. It's like, well, it's interesting when you have twice as many people in the crowd talking to people.
2 heads is always better than 1. And I saw that, and I turned to my wife. I was like, did they not let DFK know they can bring 2 people along? Like, what happened there?
So, well, I mean, to that point, maybe we could just say thank you in the AMA that they only let Dreamer go. They clearly kept Beetle Dude, Second Best Dad, all the guys working extra overtime.
We want to see our stuff continue on.
Yeah.
That was a month or so of Dreamer being out of commission with the community. So
I think it was only a couple weeks, but maybe it was. I mean, I don't know. I have revisionist memory. If you ask anyone.
But yeah. So one thing that bothered me though was that at the very end of the show, I think it was second to last episode, the families sent in videos for the teams encouraging them. I'm like, why didn't they put that in the second episode when they had the 4 teams? Why didn't they have family come in and encourage them to do a great job on the show? But it was just the last episode, and within 10 minutes, they already found their winner. I'm like, why did all the family take the time to send out encouraging words when they were going to go home anyways within a matter of minutes? So
So
I think that
on
would
that
work.
point, this is another thing that the Great British Baking Show does amazingly well. You can always guess who one of the first contestants to go home is in the first episode, because they will make sure that they do the segment on that contestant's backstory during the first episode. So one of the like 3 contestants who gets their backstory done,
Little
one of
Easter
them's
egg.
going home. You can
Right.
just guarantee it. But it's also like, well, it kind of makes sense. They kind of have to do it if they want to give everyone a fair shake, as far as
Right.
like insofar as an elimination contest can. And so, once again, take lessons from the best game show of all time, the Great British Baking Show.
Well, I say that they should maybe put the Great Baking Show and Shark Tank in a blender, mix it all together, and find something in between. Great Baking Show does a great way of entertaining, but they were also portraying the show as a Shark Tank kind of vibe.
No, you're right. You're right.
So, like,
I do think you're right.
And I would also say this, that I feel as though the judges didn't get to hear too much of their opinions on their critiques on the teams. We got some snippets of some comments that they said and everything, but they we lacked being able to hear what the judges fully thought on each project. So well, I kind of missed that.
I do know that Leia will give you bonus points if you mention Bitcoin. That seemed to be consistent throughout the show. She's like a super Bitcoin maxi. And if you listen to like any of the critiques that they included where she says anything, almost every time she refers to Bitcoin. I'm not saying you should watch it again, but if you happen to I'm not torture yourself at some point, you'll notice every time Leia says anything, Bitcoin is one of the first things she's talking about. It's like,
wow.
Well, why am I comparing this game to like a literal digital revolution in politics?
Right.
Like, these are not the same things.
Right. But she also made her money off of Bitcoin. So it's like, if that's the only thing you got going for you, you kind of need to diversify, girl.
What's your claim to fame? You were crazy, and your crazy happened to be right. For like, you were one of the crazies who did like that. Your crazy turned out to be right. Okay, like that's fair. People get money off of that, but like,
and I will say too is that I feel like they allowed her more talking time than the other 2 judges. George came in second, and then Brian came in last. And I was really, to me, it sucked that I didn't get to hear more of Brian's opinions and stuff. And so.
No, I concur with that. And it does feel like every time they mentioned or they had Brian's sentence, they included like a clip where he said, I'm kind of the Web3 gaming guy here. And it's like, well, we got that the first time. You just take another 2 seconds of commentary from something else he said. Come on.
Right.
We need that every single time he talks.
Right. Yeah. I forgot about that part.
Yeah. Oh, that is just like it stuck with me. That and Leia every time. Bitcoin. George, I actually thought George was a very, what was presented, he gave a very even, measured take on most things and sounded very reasonable. Not that any of them sounded unreasonable, but like I had no jarring feelings from George. And this statement is not biased in any way by the fact that I am a DeFi Kingdom streamer.
Agreed. Me too. My big takeaway was I really liked George, even after the whole show and everything. And I really felt as though the judges may have been a little blindsided as well with how everything got edited together for the final cuts and whatnot.
I do think so.
So, and even though they may or may not agree behind closed doors for their own opinions and whatnot, they will continue to, present the show as a great opportunity, just as DeFi Kingdoms has done. And that's perfectly fine. That's amazing. Very professional way of looking at it. Despite your feelings, you had that opportunity to be on the show. You were given that opportunity as well. So it's a blessing in a way. But
no, and the connections are good enough on their own, right? Like, freaking hey, man. Jet's a hustler and a grinder. As soon as he gets like everything straightened out with what his plan is, I know that he's just gonna do whatever it takes to make it happen. That's just obvious from everything I've heard people say about him and like the things I've heard the man say. So I like getting to know him is great, and getting to know George is also great. And hopefully next season, the only thing that I'm really dying for is a pitch to Ben Armstrong while he's in jail, but it's actually a reverse. It's a trick. He's pitching you on giving him stuff.
That could be a good one. Some hot takes there.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm kidding, though. He's not in prison. I shouldn't say that. But this is a work of fiction. Everything I'm saying is false. There we go. That should cover it.
All for entertainment purposes, guys. That's it. So
yeah, this is entertainment at its finest. Thank you, all 11 of you who are here right now, by the way. I'm glad you find this entertaining. Chat has been eating it up tonight, Ultra. What do you think of that? Is chat is just delusional? Is this were we the next crypto gem the whole time, like you and me?
We could do it.
Maybe,
I think so, definitely.
maybe.
Yeah. We get a little bit of Mix the Squad in the background to help with some video editing and stuff. Some of them do some amazing freaking thumbnails. So we could definitely put a team together.
I'm building a team.
Definitely.
Of the darkest, most intense operatives. Well, we are coming up on the hour. My wife is actually, believe it or not, working in the other room, and I apparently speak loudly. So I have been given 1 hour exactly for this stream. So we got 9 minutes. Ultra, do you have any burning thoughts you want to say? Like, we don't even have to talk about NCG anymore. I feel like we've beaten that horse to death as it deserved. And
nail in the coffin.
You want to talk about boar hunts? You want to talk about the Adventure Arcade? Have you played that at all?
Adventure Arcade, I have not gotten the chance to do that.
Okay, well, Adventure Arcade is actually Hack's community. Here's why. Not a lot of people are playing it. They give out a lot of raffle tickets. And, they are increasing the difficulty. I didn't want to feel like I was cheating. So I didn't just spam it when I knew I could get 100% every time with many crystal as I could just for infinite raffle tickets. I did not do that. But they are making it more difficult this week. And I did last week. I did put in 1,000 crystal wager, get 100%, and then get 83,000 tickets just like that. It's pretty simple. And, there was a slight issue in that I apparently made their contract mint more than its daily allowance. So Neindorf helped me out with that. Shout out to Neindorf, great guy. And shout out to Raph as well. They're great guys with what they're building. I love it. But it was really fun, and they're committed to building it. And the raffle tickets, I'm telling you, that's alpha, guys, because if you just make it way easier to get raffle tickets, it's way easier to get those awesome stones, and we're seeing how important those are.
Where was this when we still had all those Gen Zero heroes crystals on the raffle market? Like, that would have been great. I've been playing anytime.
This is a conspiracy. This was a plan. They planned it. I no longer like adventures in DeFi. No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
All jokes aside.
But yes. Have you been playing the boar hunts?
Oh yes, I got smacked probably my first, I think 20 times. Couldn't figure it out.
Very good. Very good.
Aside, I do landscaping. I got 3 kids. I barely have enough time to do a little bit of other stuff other than DFK. So that's why I haven't gotten to some of the other projects. But boar hunts I've been knocking out. Luckily, I had DFK Degen jump in Mythic Squad Mayhem with me one morning, and he kind of schooled me on what abilities I should be going for my priest, archer, and knight, and all of a sudden I got my first win, and it's been winning streaks ever since. So I'm ecstatic.
Nice, that's good. I'm glad. Like, winning streak, like you've been winning every single one, even this
back to back. I haven't lost a streak yet. So,
and what kind of heroes are we talking about? Are they all commons? Are they rares? Like, what? Give me just a sense. You don't have to give me the specifics.
Rare and uncommon. So my 2 knights are rares.
That's solid then. Nice.
Yeah. And then I have my uncommon Pally that has about 800 HP. So doesn't have any abilities that I can use for hitting or anything, but damn, does he tank.
Yeah.
He does a great job. So, and my bad thing was I had a strategy where I thought, let me take out that mama boar because she rampages anytime I touch her kids, and she got wrecked every time. And watch those critical heals come in. I'm like, and then talk with DFK Degen and stuff, and he schooled me on take out those small boars because they're the ones that heal and they can't heal themselves. And I was like, wow, that's a game changer for me, and it was uphill ever since. So
yeah. So what I typically do is I will try to draw out one of the nuzzles from the one baby to the other baby, and then I'll try to kill it before it can use nuzzle, that one. Like I'll try to balance my damage between the other two things, so neither of
Right.
them ever gets below half before I have a chance to kill the first baby that's
Okay.
already used its nuzzle. So they only get one off in the game. But I'm gonna let that first one get off. I'm just gonna pump damage into one of them really
Right.
fast,
Hell
burn
yeah.
it, and then try to kill the one that hasn't used nuzzle, while I just kind of like poke a little bit at the other two with like small stone or if I get taunted tonight, but otherwise typically just small stone.
Right.
But yeah. I've been playing with lots of different strategies. The Mighty Strike is actually really fun. I'll be honest, I've been picking Mighty Strike over Taunt because my Taunt gets resisted a lot, but my Knights get really good hits with the damage, and that helps me with like I try to kill both of the little boars within the first window of opportunity where the mama uses Wild Strike. And if I don't do that, I'm gonna have to eat a rampage. Like
Yeah.
that's the strategy, and it's like if I don't do that, high chances of losing. Not gonna lie, but I could do it pretty frequently.
Right. Yeah. When I change up my strategy and everything, I'll be honest, I don't kind of focus on when their abilities pop too much. I'll look over and I'll catch it when I can. But I'm just worrying about as much power I can pump into each baby at a time. And then sometimes when my archer goes and misses the first and grabs the other small boar and then the mama and their health kind of goes down a little bit, I'm like, okay, it just plays out. I'm gonna get to them in a moment. So
yeah. Spread the damage, spread the love. Everyone needs an arrow. Arrow for you. Oprah of Nottingham.
You get an arrow.
Yeah.
So
well, I think that's a good note to close out on. But before we do, I do want to give you a chance to just, shill thyself, my friend. Get some followers, ask people to follow you, tell them where to do it. And if you have any, I see people begging for you to start streaming. Tell us if you're going to do that on your own, or if you have any plans that you can reveal. I don't know. I don't know. Just free time.
Definitely.
To shill yourself.
I've had some things in the works. Ever since I got in with getting all my odd pets and ultras in the past 2 months, I've picked up multiples of almost all the ultras aside from some legendaries and mythics. All the regular odds, I've completed the odd variant green egg list, and I need a gold river help and a pet rock, and then the other two checklists will be done. And I'll have it all ready to go, waiting for the mining pets to come out, for odd mining pets. That aside, you can catch me on Twitter at Ultra Gringo. Aside from that, ever since I got into the odd pets and everything, I found my way into Mythic Squad. That's been the best thing that's happened to me ever since. So many people I've gotten to connect with, talk with, and everything. Seeing how many of you guys have been content creators already and starting your stuff, I'm like, it kind of gave me a confidence of, maybe this is something I could do too, because it's not just me going on alone, but it's almost like a community where we're able to jump on each other's streams and grow and stuff. So I'm like, how could I start something that would be my own niche in a sense? So I kind of came up with something where you can see behind me, the tavern. I'm going to be starting my own YouTube stream called Tavern Tales. And if anybody's following me on X, on Twitter, you'll notice that I do a bunch of lore. I'm kind of a history guy and stuff. So when it comes to anything I do, DFK, if I get an egg, I'm gonna write a story about it. If I level people up and stuff, and I like my hero that I'm doing, I'm gonna write a story about it. And you can catch all different kinds of lore. And I do my very best not to do a story twice. So I always try to come up with something new. So whenever I do my DFK YouTube channel, it's going to be around the tavern. I chose the tavern only because, if you go into other games and stuff, tavern is a place where after a long journey, you go in, grab a drink, you rest your hero and stuff on a bed or so. You sit down at the table, stories, adventures are to be had. You hear bards in the corner that are singing tales of all the adventures that they have come across and stuff. So I'm like, let me do Tavern Tales because it goes straight into my lore that I like, and it'll allow me to do a bunch of other stuff. I do have some other things in the works that will be associated with my tavern, and that I'll present later. So you'll have to just stay tuned. I do have a YouTube channel that I've created a Twitter account for Tavern Tales. You can catch it at DFK_Tavern Tales. So, and then from there, you can follow there. And then from at that point, I'll be letting you guys know soon when we go live. But I've been wanting to kind of get some things in order in the back end, make sure everything's set, because I'm very particular in how I like my stuff. So I don't want to start something just without being ready or feeling ready and stuff. So got to get that confidence up. But
no, that totally makes sense. You heard it here, guys. Ultra Greenco has got to get his back end in order to get that confidence up. And on that note,
we're the Mythic Squad, the People's Guild. Our passion for making monsters.